will lead us down that way.
Shall I just give you a quick overview of where we are in Wales, and then that'll lead us up to sort of coming back to your question, really? Because I mean, I think that that's the sort of thing that we're hoping not to talk too long, so that we can draw out and you can see how we do things as opposed to how you do things. In Wales at the moment, the last few years, it's been a lot of change. There's a gentleman called John Furlong, who was a professor at Oxford University, that was commissioned by the Welsh Assembly government to sort of reconfigure the sector, to sort of look for efficiencies and gains, and to make us better. That was the sort of the plan, to make us better at what we do. Of course, the underlying theme, as we all know, was to make cuts. You know, it's always, you know, when they reconfigure the sector, it's really to do with funding. He made lots of recommendations. One of them, for example, was that I know that I think in Canada as well as at home, we currently have both undergraduate and postgraduate routes into becoming a qualified teacher. But Furlong recommended that we got rid of the undergraduate routes. They were too expensive. It took 3 years to train a person to do undergraduate teacher training, whereas 1 year to do postgraduate. The sector fought that one, and we won. So yay, we've still got our undergraduate teacher training. But he also said, which is again something that concerns us greatly, is that why should Wales train teachers for anywhere else but Wales? You know, it's a bit like, you know, yours is sort of by provinces, aren't they? Whereas, you know, ours is sort of more in sort of England, Wales, Scotland and Ireland, our 4 provinces. Very short-sighted as far as we think. You know, you train teachers, they might leave in their first job, they might come to Canada, they might go to Europe, they might go to England, but they will come back and they will bring rich experiences back in to enhance the profession. But we lost that one. And so we can only train teachers for Wales. So what the Welsh Assembly do is they look at the numbers, how many teachers we need in which subject areas, and they set targets. And we have to meet those targets. And if we go over, they fine us. If we don't make those targets, they say, oh, well, you obviously don't need the numbers, we won't give you those numbers next year. So it's a little bit of a sort of battle, that one. Yeah, it is difficult. We lost the argument though, and they're going to cut teacher training places over the next few years. I think you call it elementary, we call it primary, by 50% and secondary by 25%. So, you know, they say, you know, we don't want to train all these teachers, we only want to train teachers for Wales. It's funding again, isn't it? It's all to do money, I think, not with the sort of the educational system. Which ended up with that we used to have 7 providers that offered initial teacher training, plus the Open University. Do you know, have you come across the Open University? Do you have the Open University? Do they have a branch in Canada? No, because I know they do in lots of different countries. I mean, this was something that Harold Wilson, sort of a Labour Prime Minister we had many years ago, first brought about, where all the learning is done by distant learning. Yeah, so there's no actual campus, and you don't ever go to sort of lectures with your peers. It's all done via now electronically. And it was very innovative at the time because they gave every student a laptop, which was sort of unheard of sort of 20 years ago, in order for them to sort of work together. What they've done now though is sort of joined us together, economies of scale. So in Wales at the moment we're going to have 3 providers of initial teacher training. One of the poor providers, luckily not us, lost out totally, so their whole provision has been taken away. And we are now working together with Cardiff, University of Wales Institute Cardiff, to make one centre of excellence, hopefully, for training teachers. A lovely acronym, SEUCTET. You can hardly say it. We're really good at acronyms in initial teacher training. It's the South East Wales Centre for Teacher Education and Training. Operational since September 2009. We're still working on it. That's when it sort of all came through. We're actually just about coming off the ground, you know, in terms of commonality of approach. It's surprising how many different institutions, I don't know if it's the same in Canada, but different institutions have different rationales, different ways they've designed their initial teacher training programs, and to get together, you know, and to agree, it's proving quite difficult. But we're working on it, and it might work when we get there. Coming back onto the different routes that we have the 1-year teacher training course, a postgraduate route. We have an employment-based route, where that might be for someone that's, say, working as a teaching assistant in a school. They've got a degree already, they haven't done their teacher training, but there's a vacancy appearing in that school. And so the school say, yeah, we'll train you on the job. and so the government will pay the school money for training that person and doing their sort of day job at the same time. We have an undergraduate course, a BSc with qualified teacher status, where it's a 2-year shortened course where you can get your degree and your qualified teacher status at the same time. And in order to get onto that course, we have a 1-year course, a certificate of higher education, which will enable potential candidates to meet the entry requirements for that particular degree. If you are interested in seeing that in detail, we have got a website which, if I can click on, shall I just click on it, David? It will hyperlink up. One of our difficulties is that everything has to be bilingual. So it takes an awful long time to develop things these days. I don't have to do it in English, but you have to do it in Welsh as well. So there is a website if you're interested. We've got some sort of handouts if you want to have a look at it, but that sort of tells you all about Wales and the different courses that we actually offer there. I'll just close it down to go back.
Sure, minimise it would be the best thing.
Minimise that one.
No, up.
Oh,
That's the one.
Okay, thank you. The one that we are involved in quite a lot is this 2-year BSc secondary degree with qualified teacher status. As David was saying earlier, Wales is an area where there are, it's not a very affluent area. So what we're looking at is to try and attract into the teaching profession the non-traditional entrants, the people that might have worked for 10 years and decided that they want to change a career, the people that might have had children, gave up work, and now the children have gone to school, they might want to go, and it's time for them now to develop their career. It might be people with a non-traditional, non-national curriculum degree. Somebody, say, that has got an accounting degree, they've got a banking qualification. They might have an environmental science degree, but if they want to go into school to teach science or to teach mathematics, they won't get on the 1-year PGCE course. So it's like a top-up of subject knowledge together with the teaching qualifications at the same time. So we're really, really focusing on widening participation. We're focusing on, bringing the people into the profession that wouldn't normally be able to train as teachers. We do have some problems in some areas where, our teaching workforce is very white and very middle class. The school population is not necessarily that, particularly in areas like the cities like Cardiff. So we're trying to attract people into the profession to make it much more diverse, so it will meet the needs of the pupils rather than the traditional, middle class white teaching. We're quite lucky because the subjects that we offer, which are sort of the maths, the sciences, design, technology, IT, all the science type subjects are designated by the government as priority 1 subjects, which means that those are the areas where there's a demand for most teachers. To try and get a physics teacher these days, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but certainly at home it's very difficult to attract somebody to teach physics into our secondary school system. Loads of people want to teach PE, loads of people might want to teach English, but physics, don't know why, but quite difficult. There's sort of, just to give you a flavour, sort of a typical profile of one of our students which has successfully finished the course and he's now out there teaching, a gentleman called Chris Sylvester. And he wouldn't have been able to get into teaching in any other way really, because he did a sports science degree, but then he decided he really didn't want to teach sport. He got a job in a school as an unqualified teacher, so he was being paid peanuts really for what he was doing, and as always happens, although his subject was sport, they say, oh, you did maths at A-level, Chris, you did maths when you were 18, you couldn't do a bit of maths for us, could you? Because, we haven't got somebody to do that. He started it, he found that he really liked it, and that he was good at it, so he needed a route in order to become qualified so that he could actually then climb up the career ladder. So it's these sort of, the different types, not the traditional 18-year-olds that we're really focused on. In order to get QTS, we have a set of professional standards where, theoretically, wherever you train in England or Wales, whatever institution you go to, if you meet the standards, you'll all be exactly the same. You know how they like to clone everybody these days, that we can all do everything. So it's a set of sort of competency standards really, and they have to demonstrate by a portfolio of evidence that they've met all of these competencies before qualified teacher status can be awarded. Once they've got qualified teacher status, it's not linked to any phase or any subject, it's just a teaching qualification. So they can teach anywhere, at any age range from sort of 3-year-olds to 93-year-olds in any subject. They wouldn't get the job probably, but theoretically they can actually do that. The assessment in the university part is 50% assignments and 50% examinations. So that's a sort of very, very quick overview of where we are. So, Doug, should we go back to your question now?
Yeah,